What's going on, YouTube? Happy Monday to everybody. Kimberly, Robert, what's going on? Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you guys are having a good week. Hope you had a great weekend. It's kind of chilly up here in Spokane this weekend. Today we're going to talk a little bit about negative self-talk, but we'll give you all a few minutes to join the room. And do not forget that this video is sponsored by Pigeonly, which is in the description of this video, and also you'll probably see a few text come through the live chat telling you a little bit more about Pigeonly. It basically helps you reduce the cost of the phone service for you and your loved one that's in prison. Also gives you the opportunity to send pictures without leaving your house. You can send articles, birthday cards, Christmas cards, all right from the Pigeonly interface. So make sure to take a peek at them. As you can see, CJ just posted a link in the description. Try to use that link because we do get credit for sending you guys over there. So it kind of lets us know how many of our viewers are taking advantage of the Pigeonly services. Also, it will put you in for additional discounts in the future as well. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, now is a great time to go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you text the word YouTube to 76626. If you're like, what does he mean? Text the word YouTube to 76626. Go into your phone, act like you're going to send a text message where it's asking you to put in the phone number. You're just going to put in 76626. Where you go to type out what you want to say, just put the word YouTube, all one word, and hit send. And that will put you on our notification list. This will allow you to receive text messages from us as we're getting ready to go live. There will be a quick message about what the video is about, along with the link to the actual live stream, just to make things a little bit easier for you and me. So, who do we got in the room with us so far? We got Jesse. Jesse's checking in. We got Kevin, Big Boy from Virginia, Robert, Mike. What's going on, Mike? Mike was born in Coeur d'Alene. All right, Coeur d'Alene's like 5 minutes from here. Take a sip of coffee. So, negative self-talk. What is it with negative self-talk that literally will stop people in their tracks from doing the right thing? Sometimes things that we want to do or we need to do, and then we start having negative self-talk. So before we get too involved in here, is anyone in here struggling with negative self-talk? And if you're not sure if you're struggling with it, maybe there's things that you're supposed to be doing and you immediately jump to a horrible conclusion that this isn't going to work, or I'm going to get all of this time, or my wife is going to leave me. Nothing I do is going to matter. It doesn't matter how hard I work. The feds are just going to nail me to the cross anyway, or I'm probably not going to get in RDAP, or they're probably not going to give me any additional halfway house time. These negative self-talk, these thoughts that you allow yourself to really defeat the way your thinking should work, this will stop you from moving forward. This will stop you from even trying because you're already kind of convincing yourself or justifying yourself that it's all a waste of time and it's all for nothing. Even though deep down inside, most of you probably know that's not the truth, but you tell yourself what you need to hear in the moment to not do what's necessary, to not put in the hard work, to not put in the effort. And we do see it. We see it even with our clients. We see it with people that have spent good money hiring us. Stop trying. Stop putting in the effort. Always coming up with things are going to be horrible and nothing is going to work. And I got to prison and other inmates are telling me that nobody gets halfway house, or they're not going to allow me into RDAP, or you can't get time off for RDAP and get time off for second chance or additional halfway house. All of these thoughts without any facts. So how do you combat this? In the description of this video, so if you guys want to take a peek at it while you're talking to me, I think you can see the description of the video. And I'm actually going to go through here. I should have pulled it up on the screen. Don't know why I didn't. But so I found a really cool article put out by a gentleman by Ben Martin. Ben Martin's got a great article, and it actually gives you some questions of things that you can test the reality of your thinking to really find out where you're at. You know, one of the first things, and this is great stuff because this is not too different from what you'll read in Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. I was going to make a video based on more information out of this book. I'm telling you, if you do not have this book, and I'm going to have CJ go online right now. CJ, if you can go on Amazon and find a link to Awaken the Giant Within and post it in the description of the video. Are you listening to me?
Sorry, I was listening to...
Oh, he wasn't listening.
I was listening to that.
Oh, if you could go on Amazon and find a link to this book, post it in the chat and also post it in the description of the video. This book, and I don't get anything if you guys buy this book other than peace of mind of knowing that you're taking this shit serious. But this book, look, it's 500 pages roughly, but you can read just the first 20, 30 pages and you will feel like you're getting content that is relating to your personal experience. That's how spot on this book is. And I am not a huge fan, or at least I was not a huge fan of motivational speakers, any type of self-positive talk. I thought it was all a bunch of bullshit, but really it was me using negative self-talk to not even give it a shot. This book completely changed my life and started my course to change while I was in prison, well before I ever got into RDAP. So what's really cool is almost anything you read, whether you're reading this, whether you're reading the Bible, whether you're studying your RDAP books, this information will allow you to get your mind on track. So one of the things that this book, the Bible, all of these different avenues all talk about is when you are having these moments of negative self-talk, you need to be able to challenge your beliefs. And you need to ask yourself, is this thought process I'm having right now based on objective reality? What am I basing this negative thoughts on? What am I basing my prison experience is going to be horrible? What am I basing the thoughts on when I tell myself I'm not going to get into RDAP, or they're not going to give me any additional halfway house time, or my wife is going to leave me and my family can't handle this while I'm away? What facts are you basing those statements on? Because probably the reality is they're not based on any facts. These are outcomes, right? These are potential outcomes. There's a million different potential outcomes that can happen based on what you think and what you do. Thoughts usually lead to some sort of action. So the thoughts that you're continually having eventually are going to lead to some kind of action, and maybe that action means you're not doing anything at all and you're sitting around waiting for somebody else to make it all better for you. So if you're finding yourself in that type of a situation, I'm telling you, it is imperative that you find a way to escape that delusional reality and let yourself find out what the actual reality is going to be. So the first thing you need to do is ask yourself, is any of this stuff that I'm thinking that's keeping me awake at night, where am I getting my source of information from, and how reality-based is this? The second thing you want to do is, what are you going to do with your time? What are you doing to be proactive with your life right now? When you're having a negative, we'll call it spells. When you're having a negative spell, you're having a bad day, a bad moment, what are you doing to combat that moment with something positive in its place? Are you picking up the phone and calling a mentor? Do you even have a mentor? We did a video a long time ago. I think it was called Who's Your Yoda? And it was basically about having mentors and how important it can be to the growth experience and expanding yourself beyond this moment you're in. Everybody has something negative in life that holds them back, or something that they dwell on. Everybody fears something in their life, and they tend to fear something until something more fearful comes along. Like if you were to ask yourself, if I were to ask everybody in this room, what are you most afraid of? And if you could ask that to anybody, regardless whether or not you're going to prison or not, if I were to ask the average person, what are you afraid of in life? What do you think some common answers that you might hear back are? And feel free to post in the room, engage. This can be an engaging experience right now where we don't do a lot of asking and asking you guys to give feedback. But let me hear some feedback from you. If I asked you guys in this room, what are you most afraid of? And we all know going to prison, but aside from prison, what are most of you afraid of? What is your biggest fear right now? So I'm going to let you guys answer that question for a minute. And while you're doing that, I'm going to drink some coffee. David Fennel. Hey, what's going on, David? Oh, we got an email back from Bree, just so you know. I'll call you when we're done. Diana Woodson, everyone needs a mentor. True statement. Unfortunately, it's not the reality statement, but people do need mentors. And is anybody going to give me some feedback in here? If I asked you guys, what do you think people, including yourself, probably losing a loved one? There you go. Something bad happening to my wife or children. So these are legitimate fears. I would say other legitimate fears, maybe losing your job, not having a job, losing your income, becoming sick, becoming ill, becoming quadriplegic, where you're going to be bound to a wheelchair. We have these negative thoughts, and a lot of you probably had a lot of these fears before. Maybe you were afraid of losing your job. Maybe you had issues. And then a bigger fear stepped in that got rid of all the other fears. The fear of going to prison, the fear of the unknown, the fear of what the federal government may or may not do. How much time am I actually going to be looking at in prison? What is prison actually going to be like? Am I going to be safe? How bad is the food? How safe is the shower environment? What are people going to think when they see me? Am I going to look soft? Am I going to look tough enough? Am I going to have to fight? You start asking yourself all of these fear-riddled questions. And because there's no direct answer, you can't just get an answer. Sure, you can go online and you can look up videos and you can watch Locked Up Abroad, and you're probably going to cause more anxiety than you already have, because some of these videos online and some of these documentaries that have been done, they really try to embrace the fear factor and the dirty side of prison, because honestly, let's be real, how entertaining would a reality show or a TV show be about Coleman Federal Prison, where I'm walking around the track, listening to my music, playing pool, playing handball, working out, making jokes, cooking pizzas? You can only make so many episodes about that. But if you make episodes about somebody getting beat up, raped, shanked, guards being violent, inmates creating gang activity and causing stress to each other's lives, blackmail, even though that stuff does take place in prison, I think most of you that have been watching this channel for a while realize that the reality for most of you that are nonviolent offenders, first-time offenders, white-collar criminals, most of you realize you're probably not going to a severe prison. At least you should realize that by this point. So if you're having these fears, what is it based on? How are you combating these fears? How are you checking the reality to it? And Diana Woodson, fear sells. It sure does. And there's a lot of prison consultants that use fear to convince you to do something based on an impulse or based on an emotional choice versus making an educated, mindful choice. And that's where mistakes happen. That's usually where you hire your attorney. You spend 50 to 100 grand or plus going up and up and up on your federal attorney to find out he doesn't know much about RDAP, to find out he doesn't know a whole lot about personal narratives and character reference letters and how the RDAP interview is going to work and how important the PSR is. He works on getting your plea, hands you a plea, and then you're like, well, he didn't do shit. I could have gotten a plea on my own, or a federally appointed attorney could have handed me a plea. That's true, but this comes from lack of responsibility, lack of taking control on your part. You know, we are not miracle workers. There's no magic wand that's going to go poof. We got a call today. He's actually in the room watching right now. I won't say his name. But we got a call today. His wife, girlfriend, just got to prison. And she was hearing some rumors that they could possibly do, I forgot what it was called, 50-50, where if you're a nonviolent first-time offender, you can do 50% of your time in prison and the other 50% on home confinement. And of course, my first reaction in my mind is going, BS, bullshit. But I had to realize I was in that spot once where I would hear all of this, what we call inmate.com gossip, where you're constantly hearing other inmates around the compound going, oh, they just passed a new bill. They're going to change it from 15% good time to 25% to 30% to 50% good time. You hear all these great things that sound amazing. And then you start doing research, you start reaching out, but yet you've never met anybody that's actually had it happen to them. So you want to believe in it. Now, that's not positive self-talk. That's positive delusional thought processes, because what happens is you'll engage all of this time in prison trying to find these shortcuts that probably do not exist. And granted, there's not a lot of time to do research, but you know what there is a lot of time to do in prison? There's a lot of time to go stand in somebody else's cube or their home or their cell or their bunk area, whatever you want to call it. We called it homes. So we would go hang out in someone's home, and I was guilty of this from time to time, but I would usually catch it and realize that, fuck, I'm wasting my mind. My mind's dwindling away over here, not doing anything resourceful or useful, and I would spend several hours sitting in a cube listening to somebody talk about how there's these new laws that are going to get passed that's going to allow all of us first-time nonviolent offenders to get out 50% sooner than what we were going to get out. Meanwhile, there was no real basis on this, no real fact other than some guy in prison telling me the story. And of course, after doing research and calling home and spending countless hours in emails just to find out it's not true. So you can either spend your time doing that, or you can spend your time on something that's going to matter. While they're sitting in their cubes, spinning their wheels, what classes are you engaging in? Well, they don't have enough classes here at this prison. It's very limited on the classes I can take. What are you doing to create the opposite effect of not taking classes? Are you mentoring anybody? Are you trying to go to the GED department and ask if you can help with assisting people studying for their GED? Are you going to your unit manager in your unit and saying, hey, I would like to start a group? Well, what's your group about? Positive self-talk. There you go. There's a topic for you. When you get to prison, tell your case manager or your unit manager that you want to start a class once a week in one of the TV rooms or off the side. You don't need a classroom. You can do it right in your unit. Even if they're like, well, we can't give you the classroom, you're like, great. I'm going to invite 2 or 3 guys back to my cell, back to my cube, back to my house, whatever it is, after dinner every Monday, and me and 3 guys are going to sit down and we're going to talk about how we can achieve a better us while we're here and how we're going to plan our journey to reintegrate back into society. What does that look like? What blueprint are you creating? These are things that you can do to be positive with your time. There was a lot of guys in prison that absolutely hated me. Hated me. And the single number one reason they hated me is I was positive. Wherever they were like, oh, the prison system is this, the prison system is that, it's here just to hurt us, they want to keep us down, they don't want to give us anything, they keep taking away TV channels, they keep making us, they keep turning the TVs off earlier and earlier, they turn the phones off, they put us on lockdown for the weekend, they keep doing this just to piss us off. The rec yard's closed. And that is frustrating when they close the rec yard. It's after dinner. You finish dinner kind of early, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Compound doesn't close till 8, so you can't wait to go outside, walk the track, work out, play basketball, go meet up with your friends, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you get a call over the loudspeaker, compound closed. Prison is now on lockdown. And your mind goes, oh, fuck, this is bullshit. They're doing this just because they don't like us. Is that based on objective reality? Is it a fact they're doing it because they don't like you? You're in a compound like where I was, 3,000 inmates, and we hear that over the speaker. How do we know that out of these 3,000 inmates, there wasn't some idiot that just got into a fight or did a threat or they found contraband outside? There's usually a reason that the prison will do things that they do. Not to say there are not cases that it's based on just because they can, but if you just assume that's what's going to happen every single time, you're just living in a jaded reality that's allowing you to come up with excuses why your life sucks. If your life sucks right now, guess what? Go look in a mirror, because that's probably the only person you have to blame. This is not just for those of you that are going to prison. This is also for friends and family that have somebody going into the prison system. You're sitting here thinking, my loved one's going into prison. How am I going to handle all of the stress by myself? How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to take care of the kids? How am I going to mow the lawn? How am I going to go grocery shopping? How am I going to find time to do all of these things if my loved one is gone? How are you going to find the time? Guess what? I bet you'll find a way to figure it out. I bet it's not going to be the end of the world. But because you're not communicating with your loved one, I was just told by another client, he just got to prison, not even a week ago. Him and his wife. His wife just called me, told me she's divorcing him. It's like, wow, okay. That's their business. However, it comes from a lot of assuming and creating this ugliness in our lives that I can't do this, when really maybe it's just an excuse. Maybe you don't want to do this. How much communication did you really have with your loved one before they went into prison? A lot of us don't want to piss off our loved ones, or maybe piss off is the wrong word. A lot of us do not want to stress out our loved ones as they're going to prison, because we're like, shit, they're already going through so much. I don't want to add any additional stress. Well, by you not allowing them to know how you feel and how this is hurting you right now, all you're doing is creating distance. You're creating a void. And really what you're doing is you're building resentment. You're building resentment for this person, because guess what? As soon as they get to prison and they send you an email about, hey, this isn't that bad. I'm working out 2 times a day. I met some really good people. I'm taking a self-help class. I'm doing this. I'm walking the track. I've found these really cool courses. Or I'm reading this really good book. Meanwhile, you're out here going, that's great. I've got 4 kids. I'm paying all the bills. I'm cleaning the house. I'm doing laundry. I'm trying to make dinner. And you're over here on your vacation. That only happens because you allowed all of this distance to create. Now, you guys are so far apart, mentally and emotionally and physically, that compacting of pressure finally needs to explode, and one of you does it in a negative way to where a whole lot of thought and reality didn't go into what caused it to begin with. Junior, hey CJ, texted you. Okay. So I'm just reading some of these messages as we go in. Okay. So this is where we see a lot of people, struggle. And then we'll see people not put in the work. We'll see people. How many viewers we got in the room right now? CJ, I can't see it.
23.
23. Okay. Sometimes we'll talk to clients that are not putting in the work, but yet they'll complain. They'll complain about everything. They'll complain about the BOP not giving them the right amount of time, or they didn't get enough time in RDAP, and instead of getting the 6 months, they only got like 4.5 months. And it's like, you don't realize when you have a short sentence, if RDAP makes an exception for you and lets you in a program and you're under 24 months, you're not going to get 6 months. And yet you're going to get mad and you're going to post this all over the internet and you're going to post it through core links. You guys got to remember, when you go to prison, emails and phone calls are monitored. They are actually monitored. A lot of people are like, well, I know they say they can monitor, but do they really? Yes, they really do. They monitor so much that almost everybody I know has had something mentioned to them from somebody within the prison system about an email or phone call they've had. That's not coincidence. They monitor. They probably have systems in place to look for certain things that automatically red flag accounts to bring to their awareness for them to go in and do some research and read. So they absolutely do read the information that you're posting. And if you're just posting a bunch of negative information about how unfair things are, now don't get me wrong, there are certain topics that need to be addressed. You're not getting medical attention, proper medical attention. You got to really define what medical attention is. You're not going to get the type of medical attention you would get in the free world. But if you have a major sickness or an illness or we have a guy with a colostomy bag that's not getting changed on a regular basis, this is different. Awareness needs to come in any form possible. But a lot of people we see, the things that they're complaining about, it's just the way the prison system works. You're complaining about stuff that everybody else is also complaining about, and all the prison does is use it against you, and they kind of use it in a way to scold you later on. At some point, every single one of you that's going to the prison system is going to be asking for additional halfway house. You're going to be asking for the prison to grant you certain benefits. And if you've been that person that's just there, every little issue you had, you went crying to core links or crying on the phone or trying to tell on somebody, it's probably not going to work out to your benefit. And I'm not saying don't voice your opinion. I'm just here giving you what my take on it is. And my take, if it's something that's not going to cause more harm to you, if it's just something that everybody else is dealing with, you might want to consider trying to handle the problem once you're out. Because if you're really expecting benefits while you're in prison, but yet you're the person complaining about every little thing, it's probably not going to happen. There's all kinds of things that can be done. The First Step Act, which we spoke about. Granted, I'm not a big fan of the First Step Act. I think it's a lot of reiteration of what's already supposed to be happening. However, hopefully this reiteration will force the BOP to do some of the things that they are actually supposed to be doing. So, Big Boy, what do you get? Big Boy, RDAP gave me 12 months off and 12 months halfway house. See, and I'm sure, maybe you got lucky, Big Boy. Maybe you just got lucky and it just fell in place for you. Or maybe you worked your ass off and you had a positive attitude, and maybe you weren't doing things like that were easily seen. But if you were constantly doing the right thing for the right reasons while you're in prison, that stuff does get seen, and you may not be known, and they might not tell you that they see you doing this, but behind the scenes, when it comes time to offer something to somebody, your name and face might come to mind of whoever has the power to make it happen. So I like to think when I see people get these great results, I like to think it comes from hard work and effort, Because if you don't believe hard work and effort will pay off, do not hire me as your consultant. I repeat, do not hire RDAP Dan as your prison coach or your prison consultant if you are not willing to work. You have to be willing to ask questions. If it goes a week and you don't hear from us, shoot us an email. Don't get upset and say, we haven't heard from you. Shoot us an email. Our job is to be here when you need us. Our job is to reach out to you at the right times. Our job is to send you emails while you're in prison on a regular basis, especially we do the upbeat emails that go out every week to everybody that's in the prison system. We send an upbeat email kind of letting you know what you need to do to stay in the right focus. If you're not responding, if you're not doing anything, and then all of a sudden you're getting ready for your release, and now you want to start blaming, throwing fingers. If you think that's going to be you, if you do not think you have what it takes to push hard and be the person that goes above and does the extra mile, if you don't think that's you, then don't think I'm going to be your prison consultant. Because we do have that happen from time to time where we just get people that are not willing to work, but they're willing to point fingers. And hey, I'm not the guy to point the finger at, because everybody that comes to my channel, everybody that spends time in here, everybody knows that we do what we can, but we are also very upfront with letting you know that the BOP has the final say. There's no motion we can file. There's no judge we can talk to. There's no case manager that we can get on the phone with that we can make them do anything that they do not want to do. The only thing we can do is create influence by making sure that you are doing everything within your power as well as we are doing everything within our power. Anything beyond that is up to the powers that be. We are here to create odds and stack the cards in our hand. That's the only guarantee that you're going to get from us. So Big Boy said, remember, he just told us he got a year off for RDAP and he also got a year halfway house. Just said, I went to class and I taught a class. Luckily, the new warden gave RDAP members more halfway house time. So a little bit of hard work, a little bit of luck, those things often make an awesome combination. But even if it only would have got half of the benefit, even if it only would have been 12 months for RDAP and 6 months for halfway house, that's still, including his good time, that's still much better than the alternative of getting absolutely nothing, which you will see people in prison. They are the negative Nancys of the prison system that dwell on negativity and like to tell you nothing ever works for anybody. If you're hanging out with those type of people, you got to stop, because that is not going to allow a proactive nature to grow from within inside you. All that's going to do is inspire negative self-talk. And that's what this whole video is about today, is what you can do to combat negative self-talk. And you need to go to, here's what I would do. If I were in any of your situations right now, and these are some things that I wish I did prior to going to prison. Here's something easy you can do. Go to people that you spend a lot of time with. Your friends, your family, your loved ones, your kids. Anybody that you spend, co-workers, it doesn't matter. People that you see on a regular basis. Tell them, hey, if you see me being down or being negative or complaining, remind me what I'm telling you right now. Remind me that, hey, this is that negative self-talk you were talking about. Why don't you try doing something proactive? Tell people around you. Tell them what to look out for. They may not even notice that you're doing it because they're so used to you doing it. But if you bring it to their awareness that say, I have an issue with being funky and negative. If you see me in a negative state of mind, you don't need to do anything. Just remind me that I don't want to be in a negative state of mind. That's it. Say, hey, Dan, you told me if I saw you down and funky to remind you that you don't want to be like this. So why are you doing it? And you'll get that look from them going, fuck, you're right. You know, we have a guy here that works in our building, and he got an awesome opportunity to be on a possible TV show. And it conflicts with his job, but this guy's passion is acting. And he told us today, I can't take it. I'm like, why? Because it's going to require 2 weeks off from work. Okay, so what's the issue? Well, I can't get the 2 weeks off from work. Is this your dream job where you work right now? You know, he works at the desk of the office we work in. He works at the front desk. Doesn't work for us, works for the building we work in. And I said, is this your dream job? And he said, well, no. I said, is acting your dream? Is that why you do it? Is that why you go out and play? And this is a major role on a TV series that we've all seen. And I said, dude, you're crazy. If they won't give you the time off, quit your fucking job, because too many of us don't do what makes us happy. We get complacent, we get scared, and once we get in that middle area, We're afraid to go either direction. We get stuck in a rut. How many people have heard stories about people that grew up in bad areas and they can't get out? What do you mean you can't get out? Nobody lives in an area, in an inner city. I don't care how inner city you live. There is no guard or police saying you can't leave. It is a choice and a mentality that you choose to stay in that environment that you currently live in. It takes hard work, and it's making the harder decision to do things that are uncomfortable to give you the life that you want to live. Sounds so simple when you say it out loud, because it is. Just do it. You know, Nike had that symbol forever. Just do it. Just put the little swoosh on you. Get a check mark on your neck. So that's really all I wanted to rant about today. We should call, you know, instead of Art App Dan's videos, we should just call them Art App Dan's rants. It's really what it turns into, right? It turns into a good rant.
Well, all your videos are rants.
Yeah.
Dan rants.
Dan rants. Art App Dan rants. So yeah, this was my rant for today. My rant for today is you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be successful. You're never going to be able to embrace your prison experience. None of that. If you live in this constant chaos of I can't, it's not going to work, nobody wants to help me, it's not my fault, I can't deal with it. Stop using these negative statements in your mind. You got to replace these negative words. Instead of saying I failed, don't use the word you failed. You know, you lost, you didn't get what, look at everything as experience points. If you failed a test today and you're planning on taking the test tomorrow, don't focus on yesterday that you failed the test. Just use yesterday as, well, that was like another portion of my growth experience, and I'm that much more prepared to take the test next time. Stay here in the present. Focus on what it is you need to do right here today. What can you do right this moment when you get off of watching this YouTube video? What can you go do to start creating a new habit that is going to form the life that you want? Because it's not going to happen by accident. It's not going to happen from going to school. It's not going to happen from having the best mentor in the world. All of those things, mentors, school, the right attitude, it's got to be a combination of everything until everything's in alignment. And before you know it, you'll start seeing change, but it's not going to happen overnight. We talk about it all the time. Change is not an immediate event. It is a process. If you're not willing to go through the process, you don't really care about changing. You're just talking shit to yourself and you're talking shit to us. But guess what? Nobody else really cares about your shit talking. So all this negative self-talk is only hurting yourself. Stop being a negative person and focus on your stinking thinking and go out and do something positive. We got any questions before I roll out of here, guys?
No.
I needed this advice today, Dan. Got you, Jesse. Just try to do better. Whoever going to prison, just try to do better while you are there. All these simple statements sound so easy, but yet people make it so complicated. It's not that complicated. The video for John Kiriakou is somewhat finished. He's the ex-CIA agent. I know a lot of you are waiting. I was hoping that video was going to be ready for today. There were some additional edits I requested to be made, so I'm hoping to have it this week. It's going to be a 3-part little mini-series. The whole total video is about an hour long, but I don't want to make you guys sit there for I would love you guys to sit there for a whole hour, but most of you won't. So I'll break it up into 3 parts. So I'll release one a day once they're finished. That should be ready any day. Again, if you're looking to increase the opportunity to call your loved one more, or you want to send some messages or pictures to them and you don't have the time to get out of the house too often, click on the link. It's in the description of this video. CJ's posting it in the chat room right now, the Pigeonly link. Pigeonly is a great company. Cheap phone calls, send pictures to your loved ones, all from the comfort of your home, your computer, your office, wherever you're at. You don't need to leave. Also, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to this channel. It really does show the amount of people that care. Every one of you that subscribes and decides, like if everyone, there's 20 something of you in this room right now. If everybody grabbed the link to this video and just shared it on their Facebook and said, hey, listen to what this guy has to say. It might be something useful for one of you. Maybe one of you knows somebody that's going to prison. You're going to prison yourself. This could be something that could help change somebody's life. The worst phone call we get is somebody telling us, I'm self-surrendering in 5 days and I wish I had found your video sooner. I don't qualify for RDAP. I'm not prepared at all. I didn't put any effort into my personal narrative, my character reference letters. My kids don't even know I'm going to prison, and now I don't know what to do. Timing is everything. Getting these videos and this type of a channel in front of the right people at the right time can be life-saving, and you can play a part in that by simply sharing this content. I'm RDAP Dan, Federal Prison Time, People Helping People, Community as Method, one day at a time. I love every single one of you. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody. Peace.